am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name
Cameron.
is
Cam Buford.
Hey, it's Peter Rosenberg. I'm hanging on my man Cameron Buford.
We got some good questions today.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
There's always room for improvement.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
All we want to see every year are the best two mothers getting in the ring and getting them.
I got some of this for you.
Goodness. For me?
Yeah, just for you.
Think about it like this: the promoter pays the fighter, the fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter, and the fighter works
Work for the promoter. Okay.
So you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with them?
To me, it's easy to score all over the world.
Can I finish? Do you want me to speak, or do you want to conduct the interview and answer for me? Which one?
What do you think about these
Aaron, like I was saying before.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show voice of the fan
Oh my goodness!
continues
gracious. I'm
to
in
evolve,
tears.
You were adding some spice to it.
it is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
The real ones know what's going on, right?
Never mind.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
You look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
I'm not caught up to you guys yet. I do know
I'm real
that.
surprised at that, Ken.
Hey, come here. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's the big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sport.
Thank you for making our voice your choice.
If you haven't told your girlfriend about the show, tell her about the show. If you haven't told your boyfriend about the show, tell him about the show. If you haven't told your cousin, your uncle, your grandfather about the show, let everybody know about the Voice of the Fans podcast.
Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
Yeah, what's good, fans? This your man Cam. Thanks for tuning into the Voice of the Fans podcast. So hold on. Thank you guys for tuning in. To the Voice of the Fans podcast this week. Just want to bring you guys some fresh content this week, with being April 9th, 2025. This is week 335, of the Voice of the Fans podcast. We got a lot to get into today, and I want to thank you guys again for tuning in. If you're gonna stick with us, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. It doesn't cost much to smile. That's how you smile at me. Just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. However you're listening to this podcast, wherever you're listening to this podcast, we thank you for tuning in, folks. We got a lot to talk about, man. As far as the NFL goes, we got a lot to talk about in the NBA. The Nuggets firing Malone this week. What a surprise. If Taylor Jenkins getting fired by the Memphis Grizzlies wasn't a surprise, you have to be blown away by Mike Malone getting fired by the Denver Nuggets weeks before the playoffs begin. And they're in the fourth seed. This isn't a team out of the playoffs, a team underperforming like the like the Phoenix Suns. This is a number 4 seed in the Western Conference, bouncing their head coach. What do you guys think about this? Let me know. Give me some feedback. This is pretty remarkable, if you ask me. They got arguably the best coach or the best player in all of basketball. It's pretty remarkable that they would do this. Like I said, Taylor Jenkins. Some people say the Memphis Grizzlies are underperforming, and they haven't been able to get their game going right. But a lot of that's been injuries. So Taylor Jenkins getting fired is because of injuries. I think Mike Malone is getting fired because of the decisions the GM makes. The GMs didn't sign Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The GM or the owner didn't sign Uncle Jeff Green, who some would have thought Jeff Green was old and done, but he brought a lot to that team. Some people would have thought some people clearly thought Chris Brown was going to fill in for a veteran like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who was not a superstar. He was a great 3 or 4 man. And to let him go really, I think, significantly impacted that team. I've been preaching this for the last couple of years. Letting him go wasn't the wisest decision. And so you're not going to get the production. Maybe they thought Michael Porter Jr. was going to give him 23 points a game instead of 16 points a game. Maybe that was in their thinking, but he still wasn't going to be the defender that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope was. So I think Michael Malone getting fired has much more to do with the construct of the team, the personnel on the team, versus Grizzlies getting fired because they suspect Taylor Jenkins couldn't coach up John Morant. Well, we see with John Morant's recent antics that maybe there's no one who could coach up John Morant. Because when you hit a 3-pointer and then you simulate the hand grenade going into the crowd, first of all, why shouldn't you throw that at the other opponent's bench versus the crowd? But that's another story. But he's throwing the hand grenades in the air. That was wild behavior for him. It was comical. I'll give him some credit for creativity. But come on, John, you shouldn't be dancing around in any of those areas, anywhere close to that line, like you're doing. You're better than that. You don't need that type of attention, John Morant. You need the attention of having a deep playoff run and getting your team to the Western Conference Finals and potentially an NBA Finals. You don't need the people speculating that he lost it by faking a hand grenade, throwing a hand grenade into the audience. That was wild. That was creative, but it was wild. Also, in the NBA, the Timberwolves. I mean, Ant's a guy you love it's easy to like, right? But the Timberwolves blowing a 24-point lead to the Milwaukee Bucks. That Anthony Davis or Anthony Edwards, that's on your watch, big boy. You're the leader of that team. There's undoubtedly you're the leader of that team, so that team goes like you go. And we're gonna put that. You have to put this loss on your shoulders. So you go from in the competitive Western Conference, you go from a potential 4th or 5th round matchup to a play-in tournament matchup. That's how tight it is in the Western Conference right now. If I remember correctly, without looking at my let me pull up some stats. If I remember correctly, that's like a 2-game disparity between the top of the Eastern Conference, or excuse me, the top of the Western Conference and the top of the play-in tournament. I'm trying to pull up some numbers right now. Forgive me, fans. I'm trying to pull up these numbers. I want to see what's going on. But yeah, if I remember correctly, that's like a 2-game disparity. And so you got to win all these games. You should be winning all these games that you have left, because there's only a couple more games left, and you losing a game like that with playoff implications, that's a bad look on your squad. I'm trying to see what the standards are, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I was trying to see what the damn standings are, but I can't see what the standings are right now. I'll come back to it. But I know it's like a 2-game. About 4 teams have 32 losses on the season. So again, you falling below that threshold is not a good look for your squad. It's not a good look for you as a leader. It's not a good look for your team. You guys don't need to be, shouldn't be having these problems. Obviously, you had a slow start to the season, so this season is different than most. But you guys really shouldn't be in this discussion of playing tournament. But here you guys have found yourself trying to figure things out. Here we go. Standings. Here we go. I don't know what took me so long to get there. Minnesota now has 33 losses. Again, as I mentioned, they fall right behind the 4 teams. 1, 2, 3, 4 teams with 32 losses. The Lakers have 31 losses. They're in the third seed. In the third seed in the Western Conference. So it's a lot of congestion right there with not much wiggle room. So you lose a game or two, you can find yourself, as Minnesota blew that game. Now they're number 8 seed, 7 and 8 seed are in the play-in tournament, and they're just behind Memphis, who's again playing with fire or playing with explosive over there. They're behind Golden State, who's behind Denver, who's behind the Clippers. All these teams right here are within 1 game of the 4 seed and the 8 seed. So you can't really lose any games right now. This is playoff basketball already started for many of these teams. So it's crunch time. So firing Taylor Jenkins, again, they're that team. They're 7th seed right now, but they're competing. They're tied, have the similar record or same record as the Clippers, who have the 4th seed right now. So firing your GM or firing your head coach who got your team to the 4th seed in the Western Conference is ridiculous. The Nuggets firing Mike Malone, the winningest coach in history, who led them to their only NBA championship year just 2 years ago, is another ridiculous move. And again, he's in that he's clumped up in there with the other teams in the 4th seed in the Western Conference. So we're looking at, if the playoffs started today, the Clippers will be playing the Denver Nuggets in a 4-5 playoffs. That'd be an interesting matchup. I don't know who you guys got. We still got a few more games left, so it's too early to call predictions on this. But it'll be very interesting to see how the season finishes up. We can say with confidence now the Cleveland Cavaliers have clinched the Eastern seed, the Eastern Conference top seed after defeating the Bulls a couple nights ago. So the Cleveland Cavaliers, regardless if you believe in them or not, the Cleveland Cavaliers hold the key to the Eastern Conference. Can they compete with can they beat the Celtics in a Game 7? Will the Celtics need a Game 7 to beat them if they match up? But as of right now, the Cleveland Cavaliers have number 1 seed. First time in a while we've been able to say that. Have the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. The Lakers, they spanked the Thunder in their first game. They lost a back-to-back game, but then they come back and the Lakers beat up on Dallas Mavericks. We knew that was going to happen. Didn't see the game, so I don't know what the reception was for Luka, but apparently Luka went back. They had a video tribute to him, and Luka went out there and tried to kill him. He put up darn near 40 points. On him. And the question remains, well, did that game simply explain the difference between Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic? Luka in a big game there like that, coming back to your hometown, Luka puts up 38 points. Anthony Davis defending his home court, his new home court, defending the basket. Anthony Davis scores 15 points. Was it 15? I think it was 15 last I checked. Is that could be the reason, the single reason that he was traded, because of games like that, where he doesn't shut the water off on the opponent, and he doesn't step up. You can't really count on his numbers. Let me see what he finally did. Mavericks, Anthony Davis, 13 points. I gave him credit for scoring another point. 13, 11, and 6. That's what Anthony Davis does in a big-time game with the former team coming to his stadium, coming into his arena to smack him around. He gives you 13 points. So maybe that explains the whole trade right there, folks. What Dallas, the front office, was thinking. In a big game, that's what that's what the Lakers front office was. I mean, anybody makes that move. Luka for Anthony Davis. But maybe this is why Anthony Davis, the Lakers ushered him out the door. Because it's like, dude, in a big game, this is what you give us? 13 points? I mean, we can get that from anybody. PJ Washington or Washington Jr. had more points on the Mavericks. He had 14 points. So Anthony Davis, he's not even Najee Marshall led the team in scoring. So it's like, come on, Anthony Davis, we need a little bit more from you. But again, that's the ups and downs you get with Najee Marshall. That's the ups and downs you get with a guy like Anthony Davis. You just never really consistent. Donovan Mitchell rolls his ankle. I know he was out a couple nights ago. I don't think he played yet. How impactful would that be? Do you just sit Donovan Mitchell? Do you just sit him for the rest of the season? Again, you're only missing a few games, but do you sit him and let him rest now that they've got the number 1 seed? Probably so. But here goes that whole question about rest versus rust. Will he be rusty sitting on his butt for a few days? Would amount to week. The playoffs don't start till the 20th, so we got all of this week and next week. So he's going to be off his feet for a week, so that'll give him plenty of time to get healthy. And he sat out against the Bulls, so that'll give him plenty of time to get healthy for when the playoffs start. What are fans? What are some? Excuse the background noise again, but this is where I'm at. What are some of the biggest what ifs in basketball? Again, chime in. Hit me up in the chat. Hit me up in the chat with what you think is some of the biggest what ifs. I'm gonna name. I think I got about 6 of them here listed as the biggest. What if it happened in basketball? How would the game have changed? What if Oklahoma City signed James Harden to the max? So James Harden does not go to Houston, does not become a perennial MVP, and continues to come off that bench and continues to orchestrate that second squad. What if James Harden stayed in OKC? Would they have won a championship? Durant, Westbrook. I know Durant's won one in Golden State, but would they have won one? Durant, Westbrook, and Harden. Would that have happened? Who knows? What if Joel Embiid stayed healthy? What if Joel Embiid didn't have to sit out his rookie season for health issues? Would he have won another MVP? Would it have been that much better? Who knows? What if Joel Embiid would have been healthy into these last couple of playoff runs where he had a pretty darn good team, had an opportunity truly to lead this team to the Eastern Conference Championship, but was not healthy? What if that happened? What if Joel Embiid was healthy? Will we look at the process differently? Will we look at the 76ers differently? Will we look at the Joel Embiid himself differently? What if that happened? What if Carmelo Anthony actually got drafted by the Detroit Pistons? We're not talking about those bad boy Pistons. I'm talking about Chauncey Billups Pistons with Ben Wallace, with Rip Hamilton, with Tayshaun Prince. I'm talking about the team that would hold opponents to 80 points, 80 and 90 points, and would win the game by 4 or 5 points. What if they brought in a young rookie whose forte was to put points on the board? That was his forte. There was no secret that Carmelo Anthony wasn't coming to the game to give you buckets. What if the Detroit Pistons actually drafted Carmelo Anthony and allowed him to give you the 15, 16 points he had as a rookie, and to turn that into another 25 points as a third year, fourth year veteran? How different would those Pistons be? How different would those would they have won one or two championships? How different would things be if Carmelo Anthony was drafted by the Detroit Pistons? What if Brandon Roy stayed healthy? Brandon Roy, at the time he was in the league, I believe, there was the Seattle Supersonics, so he wasn't the only representation of the Western Conference. But what if Brandon Roy stayed healthy in Portland? Would they have won a championship by now? Would they have? Would he be looking at the Hall of Fame? Because Brandon Roy do it all kind of guy. 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA. This in his early years. This is when he just came in the game because he didn't play past 2013. So he didn't play in 2012. So he accumulated all of his numbers in his early years, the second, third, and fourth year, 2008, 9, and 10. So the Sonics had left in 2008. So he was the solo representation of the Northwest for a couple of years there. But what if Brandon Roy stayed healthy? How different will we look at the Portland Trailblazers? And nobody I hear who understands basketball downs Brandon Roy, but look at it as a missed opportunity because obviously he wasn't healthy. He wasn't able to stay healthy. What if, for that matter, Grant Hill stayed healthy? What are your biggest ifs in basketball, fans? Let me know. Hit me up in the chat. What do you have as your biggest ifs in the game of basketball? A lot of things. What if this happened? What if that happened? What if Houston, Ralph Sampson's shot never went in, and the Lakers ended up playing Boston in the 85 playoffs? Did we miss it? Did the Houston Rockets rob us of a great series? We don't know. What if, fans? What are the biggest ifs in the game of basketball that you guys can think of? Help me out. I've lifted mine, but help me out. Hit me up in the chat. Let me know, or hit me up on Twitter @_Voice of the Fans. What are the biggest ifs in the game of basketball? What if Derrick Rose stayed healthy after being the youngest NBA MVP? What if he actually stayed healthy and then blow out his knee? Would he be able to compete? Would LeBron went to 10 straight Eastern Conference Finals? What if Derrick Rose stayed healthy? How good would the Bulls actually have been if he didn't blow out his knee? What if Kobe Bryant and Chris Paul actually played together? That trade didn't get rescinded. What would Kobe have 5, 6, or 7 championships if Kobe Bryant and Chris Paul actually played together and that trade didn't get rescinded? Now he got Pau Gasol, if I'm not mistaken. If my timing is correct, he got Pau Gasol out kind of a makeup deal. But would Chris Paul been a better mate for Kobe Bryant than Pau Gasol? That would have been Taker's locker room. But what if that happened? What if Kobe Bryant actually played with Chris Paul like that trade that went down? That'd be something that happened. I mentioned Carmelo Anthony in the Pistons. What if Carmelo Anthony just went to New York, just signed with New York as a free agent, didn't blow up the team when they had a few players over there in New York that he forced a trade. He forced Denver to take some of those best players. What if Carmelo Anthony just signed with the Knicks and didn't force that trade to happen? Who knows? Who knows what would happen? Who knows what the landscape of the NBA would have turned into? Would the Knicks have finally won a championship? No, I doubt it. But they would have been closer. But who knows what would happen? So a bunch of what ifs, man. Check in with your what if this happened in basketball, and then if you like it, I'll mention it in the chat on the show. Fans, one of the things we typically do, and we change the format a little bit, but when you think of today, it being April 9th, 2025, week 335 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Playing a numbers game, we want to think of the numbers, fans. We want to think of numbers, like the number 9. When you think of the number 9, who wore that jersey number the best? Or who come to your mind first when you think of it? Well, I'm up in the 206 right now. I'm up in the Northwest. So number 9, the longtime place kicker for the Seattle Seahawks was Norm Johnson. He's the first person to come to my mind. But then you got Ted Williams, Drew Brees, or some other pretty good players that wore the number 9 as well. So with this being the 335th show, I'm going to look at the number 35. When you think of the number 35, fans, who come to your mind first? Or who wore that jersey number the best? Now, this guy that came to my mind first did wear the jersey number better than Kevin Durant. He didn't wear the jersey number better than Ricky Anderson. But Neil Anderson, replacing the legend. I thought Neil Anderson was solid. And he replaced the legend, but he'll never get the pub that he deserved because a lot of people were sad that the legend left. Hit me up in the chat if you know who that legend was. Who did Neil Anderson replace? I'll give you a hint if you don't know who. He was a running back. Who did Neil Anderson, former running back in the NFL, who did he replace? Hit me up in the chat if you know the answer. Again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, fans. That's how you show your appreciation. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Thank you for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. Fan, I told many of y'all last year, you read the article I wrote on the voiceofthefans.org website. You know how I felt about Miami Dolphins signing Tua Tagovailoa to nearly a max deal and also giving their wide receiver the max deal. So they have, not only did they pay their wide receiver and their quarterback, the quarterback makes over $50 million per year. I think I want to say over $55 million per year this season. And the receiver is going to make over $30 million this season. That's absurd. I didn't think last year, I didn't think that was going to work. I don't think it's going to work this year. And I am putting Tyreek Hill up on the blocks. You give me a number 1 and number 2, you can have Tyreek Hill. You can have the most explosive player in the NFL, the guy who the NFL players anointed number 1 player in the league. You can have him for 2 draft picks. 2 draft picks and a tight end. How about that? You got a good lineman, I'll take the lineman over the tight end. Tyreek Hill on the block, fans. This is time for the Miami Dolphins to create an offense that's not full of gimmicks and gadgets, to create an offense that works in the playoff time. That come and work when the playoffs count, when it gets cold out there. I can't have a $40 million receiver on the sidelines looking for the heater. We need to toughen up. It's really the quarterback or the receiver. Either one of them on the block. If the right person calls me, I'll send them the quarterback, and I'll be happy to draft one of these rookies that come in. But it's time. It's time for a change in the 305. It's time for a change in the teal, aqua and teal. We can't just keep trusting what's been happening. The coach, I mentioned, if you watch the show for any length, I mentioned my disappointment with the head coach. I don't think the head coach was able to make the right adjustments in the right times last season, i.e. our quarterback gets hurt. What a surprise. And then he doesn't devise an offense for his backup quarterbacks to be successful. I don't understand why. I don't understand why. The coach in Green Bay did the same thing. He won with some backups. The coach in Minnesota did the same thing. He won with some backups. You're more than often in the NFL, you're going to have to play and win with backup quarterbacks. And lo and behold, not even to mention that you have the most fragile quarterback in the NFL history starting on your team. You got to expect that. That's going to happen. So I don't understand what the logic is there. You gotta have that. You gotta have that ready to go. So Dolphins. Who do you want, fans? Who should go first? I think I can probably get more for Tyreek than Tua. Everybody has seen kind of Tua and knows he's a hit away from being out for a month and a half. So, but Tyreek Hill is still explosive. Tyreek can still help a good team. Tyreek can help. He can help the Eagles. He can help the Redskins. He can help the Commanders. He can help the Cowboys. He can help a lot of teams. Are they going to give me? I need 2 draft picks and a player. A number 1 and a number 2, and I need a starter. That's all I want for one of the most explosive players in the NFL. Because what's happening down in Miami is not working. So they need to make a change. And I'm willing to say it right now, April 9, 2025, that I would trade Tyreek Hill. All signs are pointing to Rodgers going to the Steelers. Is that a good move? Are you guys confident in Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers? I'd be more confident in that move if they end up drafting Shedeur Sanders. I'd be more confident in that move if one of these quarterbacks fell to them. That's here, there, because I don't expect Aaron Rodgers to play no more than 2 years. I think Aaron Rodgers might be okay for 3 or 4 games out of the season. Is that your first 3 or 4 games out of the season? I don't know. Is that late in the season like he showed up last year? I don't know. I think Aaron Rodgers would be good for 3 or 4 games. He'll have 3 or 4 impressive games in the 17-week season. Aaron Rodgers will have 3 or 4 good weeks where you're like, that was a good signing. But then after that, the future comes. Are you gonna? Is he the future? I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. So I would stay away from Aaron Rodgers again, unless I got one of these rookies, and then I can get probably at this age. I haven't spoken to him. I don't know anything different than you guys, but I would suspect that Aaron Rodgers is now in a mood to coach and help out some players than he was maybe last year or a year or 2 before. Because if I remember correctly, he gave the cold shoulder to Jordan Love the same as Brett Favre gave to him. But now it's suspect. Bouncing around the league for a couple of years, having people doubt him and doubt his effectiveness. I would suspect that he is ready now to be a good teammate and that he's ready to coach some guys up. That's what I would suspect of Aaron Rodgers. What do you guys think? The Tennessee Titans, they canceled their scheduled visit with Shedeur Sanders. All signs of them taking Cam Ward with the number 1 pick. All signs of the Titans taking Cam Ward, which I like that pick. This will be the 3rd quarterback the Titans have taken in the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years. But I actually like Cam Ward. I think he's going to be solid. It's going to be interesting to see the team they put around him. Now they have a few players, they have some talent, but it'll be interesting to see how they build the rest of the team around him. Looks like the Panthers, we just had Gates going to the playoffs or going to the Hall of Fame, the NFL Hall of Fame. Look like the Carolina Panthers are trying to do the same thing with Colin Granger. 6'9", 205. He played 5 years at center for Ohio University, Western Carolina and Coastal Carolina. So somebody spotted him and said, "Hey, let's make you a tight end, 6'9", 205." He's obviously going to be a big guy, but when he gets hit in those legs, how he's going to take that? This being his first foray into football, This is going to be an interesting move. So keep your eyes out on Colin Granger, the Carolina Panthers tight end. Big dude, 6'9", 205. He's just going to be lumbering, but obviously he's going to be a heck of a red zone target for young Bryce Young. That'll be interesting, man. I want to see how this develops. What you guys know about Colin Granger? What you guys know about Geno Smith? Geno Smith getting paid. Geno Smith getting paid by the Raiders. He actually said when asked about him teaming up with Pete Carroll, he said we got some unfinished business to do. Okay, Geno, I hear you, Geno. Geno and the Raiders, and as much as I like Geno, they're coming in last place in that division. The Raiders are coming in last place in that division. Obviously, you got Patrick Mahomes. So need I say more? Then after that, you got Justin Herbert. Then after that, you got Bo Nix. Geno, I love you. I love you, Geno. But you guys aren't going to be better than the Broncos next season. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. The Raiders, the same old Raiders. Fans, I haven't got a definite answer from anybody yet. Travis Hunter, what's he going to do? Travis Hunter thinks he can legitimately play both sides of the ball in the NFL if given opportunity. Man, this ain't college, guys. This ain't high school and college. This ain't high school and college. Deion thinks he's different. Deion says he's different. Deion probably trained him in over the last few years, couple years at Jackson State, couple years at Colorado. Deion has pumped him up. Deion didn't play both sides of the field like that. Deion came in as a punt returner. Only guy to catch a return a punt for a touchdown and hit a home run in 1 week. That was Deion Sanders did that. Deion Sanders wasn't a full-time corner. He was a full-time cornerback. He wasn't a full-time wide receiver. When he signed with the Cowboys, they said they were going to put on some packages for him. Now Travis Hunter is a better wide receiver than Deion Sanders ever was. He is a better route runner than Deion Sanders ever was. So he might get a little bit more play. But from all that I can muster, everything that I can register, draft him at cornerback. If he's that good at quarterback, you put him at cornerback. Depending on how that works out, you run him as your slot receiver. If you have Travis Henry as your slot receiver playing against the opposing team nickelback or third cornerback, oh my goodness. I think that's where he wins, in my opinion. And again, I've only walked on a football field here recently, but watch a lot of football. That's where Travis Hunter wins. You line them up against the opposing team's third cornerback, their nickelback, and you say, get open. Let them run the slant. Let them run the comeback. Let them run the dig. Let them run the post corner. That's where I think he wins. You have a little package for him. But I think expecting him to play 60 plays on offense, 60 plays on defense, I think that's absurd. I don't know that he has the weight in the trunks. Like I think linemen can probably do that easier because they don't have to do a lot of running. They're running for blocks, but their man is right in front of them, so they have to win that battle. But this guy got to cut, break, juke. He got to run routes. Sometimes he's a decoy. If he plays 30 plays on offense, he's going to touch the ball. He's going to be targeted, not touch the ball. He's going to be targeted 7 times. And that's a lot. I think he wins on defense. It earns some recognition on offense, earns some fame on offense. Making money on defense. That's what I think. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, fans. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear from you guys again. This is what I believe. But you guys have your comments, your feelings too. Put them in the chat. How do you feel about this? How do you feel? How do you feel about Travis Hunter getting drafted? Where should he get drafted? Should he go to the Giants? Should he go to the Browns? What do you guys expect out of Travis Hunter? We're gonna have a much bigger draft conversation next week. Next week I'll be airing. Gonna interview Tyler Dragon this week, and we'll air it next week. So you guys get a breakdown, another breakdown, and then for NFL draft, kind of how things are going, and get a look at some squads. If there's somebody you're thinking of, you want to get some feedback on, a team you want to hear about, hit me up in the chat or hit me up on Twitter @_voice of the fans, @_voice of the fans. Hit me up on Twitter, let me know what it is, and I'll make sure I get that get that question answered for you guys, fans. I'm here for you guys. I want to bring you guys comments, so get you guys some questions that you answer. So we're gonna have a NBA beat writer on the show here in the next couple weeks. I'd like to do it before the playoffs start, but we'll see how things shake out. It depends on who's in it, who's going to play in, and who's not. I want to get a NBA beat writer on the show, and next week, like I said, I'm going to have an NFL beat writer on the show. So if there's a question that you want to ask, somebody you want to know about that you're looking at in the draft, next week would be the time to do it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button once again for me. Just because I'm going to bring you this content that not a lot of people are bringing you content. Again, in my 3 years of doing this show, or this iteration of the show, I don't know who's giving you guys this Week in History segment. If there's somebody else doing it for you guys, let me know. And let me help me get better. Fans, on April 2nd, 1855. That don't sound right. The first stamp to honor African American issues is issued bearing the likeness of Booker T. Washington. The first U.S. stamp to honor African American is issued bearing the likeness of Booker T. Washington. In April 9, 1939, singer Myron Anderson performed at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a night after she was denied use of Constitution Hall by the Daughters of the American Revolution because of her race. The Daughters of the American Revolution back in 1939. So you know where they were. April 8th, 1974, Hank Aaron broke Babe Ruth's record for the most home runs in front of 50,000 fans in Atlanta. Babe Ruth, who received all kind of hate mail in the 70s, man. That wasn't that long ago. I was born in 72, so that was in my lifetime. Fans, here's a moment for you guys. Here's a where were you moment. April 2nd, 2000. Chris Child gave Kobe Bryant a two-piece. Where were you when that happened, fans? That's kind of one of those moments. That's kind of one of those moments. You know where you were. You know where you were when you saw it, and it was kind of a funny moment. Chris Childs just in the middle of the game, the New York Knicks guard just kind of 1-2, gave Kobe Bryant the 1-2. That was crazy. April 4th, I think it's 1976, I think it is. Frank Robertson, managed his first game. He was a manager. He played as a manager player, and he managed his first game. I think it was in 75, April 4th. April 7th, 2003, Jim Boeheim gets his first ring with Carmelo Anthony leading the way. Carmelo's been big on the show tonight. 4/10, 2017, Thunder's guard Russell Westbrook broke Oscar Robertson's 56-year-old record with the 42nd triple-double of the season, clinching a 105-106 win over the Nuggets with the buzzer beater. This is what probably something I'm going to do next week is what are the most unbreakable records? Because we'd have thought at one point that this 56-year-old record wasn't going to get broken. It was almost 60 years old. And here come Russell Wilson to break that record. So I want to talk about what are the most unbreakable records or the most unbreakable records in sports. What are the records that we thought would never get broken? Like we see Gretzky scoring record get broken here recently. So fans, we talked. The Final Four was over the weekend. Did you guys watch the Final Four? Wonder how many of you guys had a good bracket, good looking bracket. What's your bracket look like? We had on Monday night Florida beat Houston to win the national championship. It was Cougars' poor shooting and poor shot selection that allowed Florida to go on a 32-21 run and win the game. Having a 10-point lead, 42-32, the Cougars also had an 84% chance of winning this title with 14 minutes, 57 seconds left in the second. Clayton Jr. put on a little spurt there. I think he scored like 6 points in a row. Put Florida back in it, and then the pressure went to Houston Cougars, and Houston could not shake the jitters. They weren't a good team. They were one of the worst shooting teams that I've seen in the history of me watching college basketball. The Houston Cougars were one of the worst shooting teams. They had they weren't worse than Butler. I remember Butler specifically dropping shooting 18%, but they were bad. I think they shot in the 20s from deep in that game against Florida. They weren't a whole lot better. They weren't a whole lot better against Duke, but Duke choked in that Final Four game. Duke choked, so Houston. I mean, they just weren't a good shooting team, and it cost them in the championship game because that allowed Florida. It gave Florida just enough room to come back and win that game. And as I mentioned, Houston beat up on Duke. Duke missed on Cooper Flagg's game-winning jumper that he just short-armed it. Just came up short a little bit. That's how Houston got into the championship game. And then Florida beat up Auburn pretty good. Clayton Jr. had another show-out performance. So kudos to those guys. I mean, kudos to the Florida Gators. I think Clayton Jr., I'd like to get somebody's feedback on this. Let me know what you guys think about this. I think Clayton Jr. probably played himself out of a top 5 position. He's a senior. I think he just kind of in the championship game alone. He was great. He was great getting his team to the Final Four. He was great winning that game against Auburn. But in the championship game, I think he played himself from a top 5 position to a top 10 position. What you guys think about that? That's just my opinion, just watching basketball. I mean, he brings a lot to the game. He's willing to take a shot. You need that. He knows how to dribble, obviously, pass the ball, and he can shoot it. So he brings a lot to the game, and he has good size. He's 6'4", so he's not an undersized guard, if you will. But I don't think he stood out. He won that championship game. His team won the championship game. Sure enough, he played well enough that his team won that championship game. Yes, he did. But there was, I just don't think he played like, I gotta have him. It wasn't that type of performance. So I really just think that's only loser. Cooper Flagg is going to be good. He just missed a jumper. That's all. He just missed a shot. I think he'll be all right. Another player misses. Derrick Rose, who I mentioned earlier. He missed. I think he missed a free throw, either to tie it up in the championship game, or to win. I'm pretty sure it was just to tie it up. He missed a free throw. Mike Conley played. Mike Conley might be 20 years in the game. He missed a free throw that would have gave Ohio State the win in a college basketball game in the tournament. So, I mean, guys, you can get over a missed jumper. It's not going to weigh on him that much. And then when he gets to the league, I doubt the final buzzer is going to be on him most, not for right away anyway. Did you guys watch the women's Final Four? If you watched the women's Final Four, you saw some good basketball. but the championship game was not one of the women's best basketball. Although UConn smashed South Carolina like they smashed UCLA. I mean, UConn was on a run, on an impressive run. Paige Becker got her championship ring. Gino gets his 12th ring, the fourth in the fourth decade. Man, it was they just walked through the Final Four like with no contest. There was obviously Paige was a third leading scorer on her team. That girl Ozzy had a great game. There was a couple girls on there that are young girls. Strong had another good game that really helped Paige out. But yeah, UConn is ready for next year as well. Quick question about college basketball is: do you guys appreciate free agency in college sports? Now, it's easier. I think it's easier to accept when players start using the transfer portal in football because you just start another season. So every April, the teams already knew anyway, right? You have the guys who are freshmen become sophomores. The guys who are sophomores become juniors. The guys who are seniors, they leave, go to the league. So you see this natural refueling of the team, right? But in college basketball, now that you're seeing every year a player goes out, or every year a player hits the transfer portal, where's he going to be next year? You don't know. Where's the coach going to be next year? You don't know. So it kind of in college basketball, we've said this because there's a lot of one and done. It helps the longevity of the sport, which is interesting. But do you guys like free agency and who? Hit me up in the chat, man. I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm not getting your feedback, fam. You got to hit me up in the chat. Let me know you want to be a part of the show. Let me know if this is making any sense to anybody out there. @ voice of the fans. Is this making sense to you? Do you guys like free agency in college hoop? Let me know. That's what I'm asking you guys. Keep it in your head. Alex Ovechkin breaks Gretzky's record. All-time, his record of the all-time most goals scored in NHL in the same number of games that Gretzky did. He got 42 goals this season. He's fourth in the NHL. How impressive is this to you guys? This is another record that makes me want to talk about the most. That makes me want to talk about the most unbreakable records. This happened here recently. It makes me think. It makes me really think. What are the most unbreakable records in football? I heard somebody say, and I don't want to call him a clown, but I think it's kind of clownish. Somebody say today that if Ginty gets drafted by the Raiders, she's going to break Eric Dickerson's rookie rushing record. I think it's 1784. You know how difficult that's going to have to be for a rookie to do. I don't know if Ginty's like that, but we're going to have the NFL conversation next week, as I mentioned. But what are the most unbreakable records? Maybe I'm going to pull those up next week. I don't know if he got another game-winning goal, but he's tied with the most game-winning goals already. You guys, we're a couple weeks away. I don't know if you guys are traveling to New York, but we're having Fatal Fury take place Friday, May 2nd in Times Square. Ryan Garcia, Rolly Romero, Devin Haney, Jose Ramirez, Teofimo Lopez, Arnold Barbosa. What fight are you looking forward to? That's Friday night. Because Saturday night they got Canelo Alvarez and William Skull in Saudi. What fight are you guys looking forward to out of those groups? Or are you guys even looking forward to any boxing? There's some boxing going on, and it's gonna be unique. You know, like they put the hockey game in the stadium, in the baseball stadium. It's similar to what they're doing. They're putting this boxing ring outside Times Square and gonna build it up for some fans to check it out. That'll be interesting. I wonder if it's gonna be on the on the billboards and lights in Times Square. Is it gonna be? So can they see it that way? That'll be interesting. The Dodgers showing some slippage after going 7-0. I think they went 8-0. They lost 3 or 4 last games. 3 or 4 of their last games. That's interesting for the Dodgers. Maybe we weren't expecting a slide like this, but I believe that coincides with Freddie Freeman going out. I believe they'll be okay. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about? What do you guys think about the Dodgers? Excuse me, fans. All right, fans, what's good? What's good? Let me finish this up for you guys. Did you guys see the Mariners outfielder Victor Robles? Did you guys see it? Did you guys see the Mariners Victor Robles run the ball down and she jumped into the net to catch the ball, make an unbelievable catch? It looked like I don't know. I wouldn't say unbelievable. I hate using that word. Unbelievable. It was an unremarkable play. It was an excellent play. Great hustle play. Dived into but the fence was at probably 2.5 feet. So his knee went right into the fence. It looked like he would have had a knee injury. Great catch by Robles. Just like a Seattle Mariner, he's out for the next 12 weeks because he fractured his shoulder. Oh my goodness, the Mariners. The MLB owners, it sounds like, are coming together, trying to advocating for a salary cap in the next collective bargaining agreement, which actually sounds bananas. After all these years of baseball been happening since the 1800s, all of a sudden now they want a salary cap. And it's funny that the teams in New York bought championships for years. So now that a West Coast team buys a championship, now all of a sudden there's a problem with the way baseball is being played and being run. Come on, guys. The players are gearing up for a possible lockout, and when the current deal ends in 2026. So we're a couple ways away from it if it doesn't, get dealt with pretty soon. Meanwhile, players like Vladdy Guerrero Jr. agrees to an extensive monumental extension, 14-year, $500 million. Young Vlad. Now, owners are paying money like this because they got money like this. Now you're going to try to say we need a salary cap so we can't play players? Get out of here. Get out of here. I disagree with it. I disagree with it wholeheartedly. But that's all I got today, fans. That's all the content I got for you guys today. We talked some hockey. We talked some NCAA. We talked NBA, NHL. We're going to have more NBA content next week, obviously, because the playoffs will be right in front of us. We'll know what our matchups are. We'll be looking into the play-in tournament, actually. And then we're going to have some more draft conversation next week. So stick with us. Make sure you check us out next week. We're going to have more draft content for you guys and more stuff like this quote I'm in the show with. Here's a quote I want to end the show with tonight, guys. The road to success and the road to failure are almost exactly the same. Colin R. Davis. The road to success and the road to failure are almost the exact same thing, except one person takes the veer to the left or the right. It's either way. That's from Colin Davis. So the roads are very similar. So keep traveling your path, man. I wish you guys the best. As always, fans, I want to thank you guys for making our voice your choice. Thank you for joining the Voice of the Fans podcast. Enjoy your night.